Well, buenos dias. Good morning. It's 10:05. The world is falling apart. But I'm here for some reason to have a look out there, or in there, more of the point probably, into the place that's causing all the trouble, that's making everyone upset, but that they keep returning to, which is of course X. The morning, brethren. Morning, Sam Wilkes. Morning, Sam. So let's just have a wee look, eh? Let's have a wee look. Strange times, like. Notice that what have we got here? X. What the X? Graham Campbell really is a wretched gobshite. SNP calls for vigilantes to defend Glasgow's streets from far-right thugs if riots reach city. Well, who are those riots? If those riots reach the city, who is going to be participating in those riots exactly? What happens is people like Graham, this guy's correct actually, this Overlander person, is Graham Campbell is just an opportunist. But there's a lot of opportunists emerging from the woodwork at present. There's a whole I'll try that again. There's a whole gaggle of people who have spent the last decade grifting on Scottish independence, who are now trying to reconstruct themselves as sort of anti-fascist kind of class warriors, for want of a better term, which is just patently ridiculous. We see you, we all see you. We can all see you. He was the final straw for me. I left the SNP after reading his candidate's statement. There are snails that are more intelligent. Graham Campbell is a state plant. He's got no politics. He's a state plant. It's well known. It's well known in left circles and stuff. Anybody that's been involved in the left, or the organised left, if you like, SSP, these type of things. Everybody knows Graham Campbell's. I like it, Caravaggio. The revolution will be monetised. Fuck yeah. This is what we're talking about. To be honest, we're in the middle of something crazy, and it's sad to see, it's terrible to see, but for those of us that knew this was going to happen, we're not even remotely surprised. And the people that are making the biggest fuss, or the most outraged, right? Those that are the most insanely outraged about what's going on are the same bourgeois liberals who are in many ways responsible for this exact set of circumstances that are now playing out. So the sanctimonious lefties, who went on Twitter between 2000 and 2018-19 with your censorious Vampire Castle crusade, cancelling every single person that you possibly could, getting rid of every single voice that you thought was a problem, anybody that was a football supporter, you gentrified Twitter. Twitter used to be this environment of kind of, it was a place where it was policed to a certain extent by the people who were there, because there was a broad range of voices that were there. But no, middle class left, you were the ones that led the crusade to purge Twitter of anyone that you called a Nazi, which is basically, or a transphobe and a Nazi and all that. So what you did was, like, you got rid of loads of people, and there was Bams and Rajes that were exiled from Twitter. But the problem is, you drove all that underground, you drove all that onto Telegram and all these kind of places. These people still existed, but they were more ostracised at that point. And then Musk came in, bought this incredible platform X, that's the source of all of your problems, but the place that you keep coming back to talk about it all. That's a bit funny, is it not? Something a wee bit intriguing about that from my personal perspective. Oh, this terrible place X that I can't keep away from, that I want you to. And the problem that all the bourgeois lefties have, and all the bourgeois commentariat and all the rest of it, what they're losing their fucking noggins over more than anything else, is the fact that they're now seeing that nobody's interested in their stupid big long opinion piece or their column or their Guardian leader or whatever like that, all these people. But when they were the ones that populated that platform more than everyone else, they all thought that they were really important. Oh, aren't we very intelligent and interesting? But now Musk opened the floodgates and let every rag under the sun on and turned it into a live leak, which was essentially just, you know, a far less censored platform, you know. The left, no one loves censorship and no one loves the law more than the left. And that's why you see all these so-called communists and that have had communists in their profiles and all the rest. It's just demanding the state turn up with the, you know, the most authoritarian measures they can possibly think of. You know, lock all these people up forever. That's the desire from the left now. You know, there is no. I've said it many times, but there is no thirst for the iron law of the state than that of the bourgeois liberal. Like, you know, trust me. And it's there. We've got the receipts, as you like to say. Anyway, always good to start the day with a bit of Graham Campbell abuse, because he truly is a charlatan of a character. If you didn't know who Graham Campbell is, he's an SNP councillor in Glasgow. No, he was I can't mind what he is. He's just a political class opportunist. And him and his missus no one plays identity politics more than him, like, you know what I mean? He's like, I mean, he's of Jamaican heritage, but, you know. Right, I can't remember. What was the vigilantes to defend? Right. The other thing is that I mean, there's this kind of thirst. There's this where was it? There was Bradshaw is defensive because of his connections to the thoroughly racist and Islamophobic Henry Jackson Society. They can't properly name the problem because the problem is institutionalised and central to state ideology. I don't know, what's he saying?
Henry Jackson Society, and you were on advice.
Amidst all of that, there were some very important points, which is brown and black people in this country at the moment feel really scared. That's a really important point to make. Sarah's absolutely right. We have a problem in this country with Islamophobia. It's peddled by some, like Tommy Robinson, you've already described, and others on the far right, some politicians who should know better. But the rest of it was lost, as far as concerned.
But then
those two very important
by
points were
organisations
lost
like the Henry
in
Jackson
unreasonable
Society,
and
and you were on
unreasonable.
advisory
Hang on,
council
Zara, let him
of
at
that
least finish one
organisation.
sentence.
Those
before you
two
come
very
back in.
important points, in my view, were lost in the way that Zara presented them in the rest of that.
Why were they lost, do you think?
Well, because I think she wasn't answering your questions. She was making unreasonable points about, the public's legitimate concern about illegal migration. And the need for us to make sure that we have public services in this country and housing and the capacity to integrate all these people. Amidst all of that, there were some very important points around black people.
Middle class people talking about stuff. I'm noticing this looting, poor people looting, heavens above. It just goes to show that they have no arguments, unlike nice, calm, rational, comfortable people who have more arguments than you can nod your heads at. But not the poor, no. They took those away when they took everything else. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of kind of sanctimonious stuff on the Scottish exceptionalist side, like, you know, there's a lot of Scottish exceptionalists seem to think that Scotland is immune from this, and that Scotland is immune from this, and that we don't have any racists in that in Scotland because we are better than the English and all this sort of stuff. These people are middle-class Scottish exceptionalists, and we've had 10 years of these people wasting our time with their shit, pointless politics and their shit, pointless opinions as well. And really, it's amusing to see them talk, that's for sure. But anybody who thinks they've got anything interesting to say is, you know, lacking in the cognition department, in my opinion, like, you know. I saw that one, the Glenor guy, yeah. I had a wee, what was I said this morning? I said something about him. Oh, that's right, like that Glenor guy, right? He's trying to say that he's now saying that this is an expression of white working class. This is now a white working class. The concerns of the white working class, and that they've been disenfranchised and demonised and stuff. Which, I mean, there's truth in that. But this guy Glenor is suddenly starting to sort of pivot on this. See, the thing about these people is, basically, they are just opportunists. And once public opinion and public discourse starts moving in a different area from the one that they've been capitalising on, they start shifting as well. So it always calls into question, like, really where their sort of position is on any matter, really. But this guy Linehan, he is a total fanny. I mean, everybody. I can't stand the transgender stuff, right? Because whichever way, I've said it many times, whichever way you look at it, it's just two sections of the middle class going rage at each other, basically, you know. And whilst fundamentally, you know, I don't accept this whole mad thrust to insist that men can be women. It's just ludicrous, and it's not going to fly. Society's falling apart at the seams, and if this is the issue that you think everybody should be occupying their minds with, it's obviously pretty insulting to everybody that's, you know, got more important things to think about. But that argument goes both ways. You know, it takes two to tango, and the middle classes who have also made this their fundamental preoccupation, it's a kind of conscious thing to do, because it allows them to avoid actually looking at, like, other stuff that's going on. But now that other stuff that's going on is starting to boil up in our faces, so they're kind of forced to have to confront it. And the sort of loudmouth opportunists will now be like, oh, how can I mine capital out of this? Well, obviously the problem Linehan's got when he makes a statement like this is that he's a middle class guy. He's never given a fuck about working class people, and the reason that you know that is because this entire issue is an anti-class issue. The entire identitarian political fracture is there to avoid us, for capital basically to avoid any scrutiny from a class perspective. So if you've actually profited from it, which I believe he has, and he's made a lot, you know, he's made it his career essentially to be this kind of public avatar of this identitarian, one side of that identitarian battlefront. You can't now claim to suddenly start saying that you've got some profound or deep interest or concern about what goes on with working class people. That's just idiocy. So this person, you know, I think to give him it's difficult, right? Because he's been kind of demonised as well by the sort of lefties. You know what I mean? They anything that's legitimate about it. But he is also a really quite an abhorrent person online. I mean, everybody's kind of abhorrent online. Let's be honest about that. What you are online and what you are in reality are two different things, and that's what's kind of making this current explosion of madness really quite fascinating as well. Because, you know, they want to blame what's going on online for folks smashing windows and stuff in real life, and you know, I think that's a slightly different thing altogether. You know, what is this? Is this basically the establishment throwing up its hands and saying, we've lost control of the narrative, you know? We've lost the dressing room. You lost the dressing room about 40 odd years ago when Thatcher came to power, like, you know? But I think let me think about this guy Lennon for a second. Yeah, that was my point. My point is basically, you know, why specifically the white working class? What about the working class that are people of colour or all whatever else, everybody else that's working class that's, you know, not archetypally white in some way or other? Those working class people are still all subject to the same economic inhibitions and problems that neoliberalism has created for our shit society. So going down this line of going like, oh, this is the white working class, you know what I mean? That's intentionally divisive at that point, in my opinion. And let's not forget as well that Robinson, the guy who's being sort of labelled as the agitator of it all, where is he again? Tommy fucking Robinson.
Account smashed, nothing better. Nothing better. Let me just get a little quiet bit here in the shade. Let me talk. I'm seeing lots of questions from members of the public saying, why are they attacking the police? Why are police stations being targeted? Just to give you a bit of a knowledge of why people are angry with the police, and to the men committing the violence, lads, those individual police officers who are coming out doing a difficult enough job have got families at home. They're ordinary people, okay? The people pulling their strings is who you need to be angry with. Why are people angry? I'll tell you why they're angry. Because Hamas were allowed to overtake London, overtake our capital city, every weekend, flying ISIS flags, Hamas flags.
Hamas were allowed to infiltrate and march on the city and that. Tommy Robinson, David Miller and other people have documented is paid by the Israeli state. He's an Israeli shill, and the Israeli state are currently committing a genocide. And after that Lancet report, which was about a month or so ago, I mean, we must be looking at figures of we must be over 200,000 dead, murdered, annihilated, assassinated, butchered, obliterated. What Israel are doing, sanctioned by essentially the British establishment. Starmer and the managerial class have walked into this like idiots. The BB and these type of people must be laughing at folk like Starmer, because you see they're engaged in military action. They're engaged in the most rawest form of the most horrific exposure of what capital is doing, is profit from death. You know, for every Palestinian that gets murdered and assassinated and annihilated, somebody's share price is going up. Like, you know what I mean? That's the reality of capital at that point. Profit from death. If there was no money in it, it wouldn't be happening. And we know that there's oil reserves in that area, and we know there's all kinds of minerals and stuff, and that sort of, those documents are already done and dealt with. You know, this is the Highland clearances, but it's no sheep that are going there. It's condos that are going to be put in their place, and these on the bone, they're going to build condos on the bones of the Palestinians in Palestine. What's this? What? Bingo, the gaslighting ain't working, so they will try to clamp down. Yeah, definitely, that's true. Sorry, where was I at with that? So, we've seen, does online opinion sculpt and shape the public narrative or the consciousness, the national consciousness? Absolutely, it has a significant role to play. But traditionally, those those ideologies were controlled by the ruling classes who owned all the newspapers, right? But people, they've, this whole argument about the legacy media and the new media and that, it's totally true, right? All these idiots that, like, what did the papers say this morning, darling? It's like, that's done, that's gone, that's like ancient history, right? Elon Musk is the future of information, and he knew it. That's why he bought X, and he's like, in his Citizen Kane knowledge of dissemination and of information dissemination or otherwise, it's he's in pole position there, But the point is, so what are the British government going to suggest, right? They're essentially blaming X, right? Where's this thing here? Hold on a wee second. So they're essentially blaming X, but they're not saying that specifically as much. I saw there was a news report, I'll find it in a minute, where it was Sky News, and it was the police chief was essentially starting to blame Elon Musk, and then they cut the audio. So that's quite interesting. I think the thing that's interesting as well, though, is the fact that so if you've got Robinson, these online agitators who have now capitalised on Musk's decensored platform, essentially. And as I said earlier, it was the left led the censorious crusade on Twitter, and they cleared it of all its nuances and all its craziness, but that balance existed before. There was a balance, but and people were there for a laugh. And if there was people that were overtly racist, they would have got attacked by other working class people or whatever that were going like, "What are you all about?" But it changed, and it became a censorious, safe space for woke bastards who called anyone and everyone that doesn't agree with them a Nazi and a transphobe and all this sort of stuff. But now the real, actual, hardcore, outrageous, violent, fascistic, racist as fuck, not particularly bright souls are hubristically expressing themselves online, and then we have expressions of huge dissatisfaction on the streets along racial lines, splitting the working class along racial lines, which is a tragic but entirely predictable series of events. I have to be honest, I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen years ago, and I was basically waiting for it to happen. I was like, this is going to happen. I was watching. I knew this was going to happen. I'm by no means the only person that is of that disposition, because it's so obvious. And the middle class left and middle classes have a massive part to play in this, an astronomical part to play, both from who they endorse politically to how they are socially to what their social attitudes are. Morning, don't know if you're meant to be live on X2. I've only got a frozen screen. All right. How? Is it not live? Is it not live? Sorry, give me a wee second, people. Give me a moment, I'll tell you what. Let's go to New York for a second.
What's your body count? Whatever you think it is.
3.
Only 3?
That's all.
Only 3?
Only 3.
Okay, what are you thinking it is? What do you think I'm asking?
How many people I killed?
Hemos visto este pez. Vinca, te voy a devolver al agua. Bye. ¿Puedes nadar? Oye, no vuelvas por aquí.
me on him, man, or tie on him there, you know.
Oh, hold on. Let me just take you back there again for a second.
Is necessary because it disrupts that feedback loop with yourself. You know, that you can have this entirely self-referential life, this entire inner world that can take over everything.
Yo, check it. Give thanks, brethren, yeah?
Yeah, man, that's cool, man. You're welcome, man. You're welcome.
Just cook up my dinner for me.
Right, who was this that said this? Cece, Addy, Ken, what's wrong with your ex? Because I've checked it on my ex, and I'm definitely live streaming on X as well, which is kind of the point, like, you know, that is where I wanted to be. I mean, I can show you. Hold on a second, like that's X there. So it must be something to do with your screen. A good time for us all to re-watch the Vampire Castle video. Yes, Crazy Hobo. I couldn't agree more. My short vlog or film on Vampire Castle is relevant because the Vampire Castle is relevant. That's the point. Fisher's observation and critique was astute and important and remains so. It's not as much as these woke tards will have you believe. It's got nothing to do really with Russell Brand. That's the whole point. You know, it's not really about Russell Brand, right? It's about the left and their abandonment of the working class. That is what the Vampire Castle is about. And the fact, I think, to be honest, actually, as time goes on, and it's been discussed so much, and yeah, you know, obviously I made that piece because I think it, you know, it needed to be elevated a bit in some way, or taken away a little bit from, as I said to various people, to take it away from the academic sort of circles. It's the critique in terms of the fact that those large sections of that kind of undergraduate or graduate academic left or otherwise, still you'll see that the way that they operate online, you know, they sort of dismiss it because of the Russell Brand thing. They like to do this. And they say, oh, this is aged like milk or something. It's like, that again is such a you know, disingenuous take on it, because that's avoiding, once again, it's like avoiding what the actual piece is about. I think if that's how you look at it and you decide that this is about Russell Brand, then you know, you're basically exactly the type of person that Fisher's talking about. I think that's the funny thing, isn't it? That people often really don't realise sometimes, you know, that it's like, this is about you. This essay is about you. Every single person on the left, in fact, I think every person on the left, or the left that like to think of themselves as left, see, now they're getting caught, now they're getting found out, you know. I think it might just be UCC, I don't know why it's done that. Refresh your page, bro. I think that's the thing about the, you know, if you find fault with that essay on, you know, it's flawless in its critique. So if your issue is it was something to do with Russell Brand or something like that, that's what you want to get upset about. It's like, why are you missing the point on this exactly? I don't think that's not very intellectually analytical of you, is it? Like, you know, that seems like a strange take to have. You know, let's just dismiss this because of the misogynist Russell Brand or something like. You know, I'm not sure about that. You know, I'm not sure about that. That's not really what that's about, is it? Anyway, back to the screen. Back to the screen. Hold on a minute. Let me mute this a second.
causing particular harm to police officers.
Let's have a look.
And I think causing particular harm to police officers. And I think what we have in the internet is the Wild West. There are no restrictions on the internet, and people who were banned a few years ago, before Elon Musk took over.
So there we go.
Superintendent at the Met Police. Thanks very much indeed.
Former chief intendant of the Met Police on Sky News cut off by presenter as soon as he mentions far-right radicalisation on Twitter since Musk's takeover. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's like how much of this can be what are you going to blame? You're going to blame the brand. Oh no, people are talking about stuff, and like, you know, this is, you know, the establishment freaking out about not being able to control a narrative in the way that they previously did. What was that? Remember that? Let me see if I can find it. I made an image during COVID. I think it's maybe. I don't know if I've got it to hand, but that's that thing. The desire to blame X and blame Elon Musk for what? What are you actually blaming X and Elon Musk for? People live streaming real events, the proliferation of extremist ideology online, any less extreme than that peddled by the British state, the British establishment, talking shite throughout COVID, making things up every day. The biggest wealth transfer that's ever happened, impoverishing people further. The whole immigration thing is a problem. It needs to be looked at. It's like, how can you throw hundreds of people into areas that are already extremely under pressure from the lack of public services, all kinds of issues that are going on? It's going to cause tensions. Some people think that these are deliberate acts by the state and the establishment. I'm less inclined to follow that line. I see it more as a sort of the bankruptcy and collapse of society under neoliberalism. It's about some people are profiting. The people that have got those hotels that are going to take government money to house all these migrants, they're all for it. Brilliant. I've got a shitty 200-bedroom fucking piss hole that I've got somewhere that I bought. Now the state are going to give me a whole bunch of money to house all these migrants. So then when the tensions, you could argue that when the tensions boil up and then everybody starts going crazy and they start inciting criminal acts and violence, the next thing they'll need to do is they built emergency hospitals during COVID. Now they're going to build emergency prisons to house all the working class people or the underclass or whatever that are causing all these problems, and then that's going to be more money again for private enterprise, for the private prisons. These will be private prisons. They'll come in and, oh, there's so much crime going on. We need to have a private prison. So we've always got private prisons, you know. And what's the difference between a prison and a hotel? It's just a bed, isn't it? It's like they're both somewhere where people have to sleep at night. You know, it's not much of a stretch, is it, between these two? So that's worth consideration. This was Liz Truss at the Edinburgh Festival. The Edinburgh Fringe, rather, the Fringe. And this person says, we're comedy and now politicians go to die. And yeah, that's true. But it is really... who is this morphy, Jim? I'll follow this person back, but Yeah, actually, I follow this person, but they follow me, I follow them. But what was the one I noticed earlier? Like, see what this one, right? We sell boxes. I don't know who that is, right? But it's like whenever I see that, and it's like they followed me, and I'm following them. I'm like, well, why did you unfollow me? What's going on there, eh? So, like, you know, I'm always like, I start seeing these people like follow me, and I'll go and look, and I'm like, I'm following them. It's like, because normally I follow people back for ages, for years on this account. It's just if somebody follows me, I try to follow folk back. Is, you know, because I like to see more opinions of different folk, like, you know. What's CC saying? Musk's civil war is inevitable tweet is inflammatory. Had to ping him the Runnymede statement, massive attack posted. I love what he has done with SpaceX, but otherwise the man is a dangerous whelp. Yeah, I think it's not wrong. Like, you can't. Musk is an oddball, like, you know, and an antagonist, definitely. And you know, he's like the sort of Citizen Kane of the digital age. You know what I mean? It's like he's the kind of real sort of expression of this fictional character in a much weirder state, because, like I say, people don't have to go out and buy a newspaper anymore. They wake up in the morning and, like, you know, it's shouting at them in their hand before they've even got out of their bed, provoking them to think and feel and purchase or do whatever. You know, it's like you get these kind of moronic statements of people going like, oh, look at these poor people, they've got iPhones and that. It's like it suits capital for everyone to have an iPhone, right? A smartphone is a consumer device, right? Your job is to consume. That's your primary fucking reason for existence in capitalist society, okay? Is to get out there and fucking buy shit, right? And if you've not got the money to buy for it, get exploited so you've got just enough to buy the shit that you fucking, like, you know what I mean? But the point is that, you know, it's like you having a smartphone is not, or having some device, you know, like this, is not a statement of wealth. It's a statement of servitude. You're now tracked. Your GPS is tracked. Your data is collected and collated for capital purposes. It's you know, it's a terror to consumption and authoritarianism, really, you know. So this idea that look at these anti-capitalists moaning about capital when they've got smartphones, it's like, you know, we have to look at it from all angles, you know. We must not descend into myopia. How's everyone doing? That's 44 minutes. 44 minutes. I tell you what, it is a lovely day in Edinburgh, in the festival city. Where was this again? Okay, I want to check this. So we now have let me check this. Go to VT.
אנחנו מטילים מצור מוחלט על העיר עזה.
ومش راح يكون في عندكم كهرباء ولا مي بس دمار.
Gaza will become a...
I mean, you've really got to cherish the railways, right? I mean, the locomotive, what a way to prove that is. This is my maiden voyage with these guys today, but I mean, I can tell already they're classy operators. I can tell that much. Any idea what the annual ridership figures are with this shit? No.
I'm so happy, cause today found my friends are in my head. I'm so ugly, that's okay, cause so are you. Book
went up. Don't play with fire. Don't turn around, don't look down.
My most famous song, the work song, they were paving the street in front of my house in Tallahassee, Florida. And they had the chain gang people paving the street. Well, I was not even in school yet.
Wow. I didn't know that. I just, you're telling me now for the first time.
There's been times I've been alone. There's been words unbound and friendships I've known.
Halt! Who goes there?
It's me.
Who's me?
Bonnie Prince Bob.
What do you want?
I want to speak to the king.
The king? What have you to say to the king?
Sure. Right now, man, don't too feel good on play side. Rockers music now play, that's all. And I will change the mood. Right now, man, play to show me.
Hi, how are you?
I was looking for this Civil War tweet, but I can't find it. Has he deleted it? Yeah, I mean, Musk sort of like involving himself in commenting on sort of bizarre kind of reactionary aspects of the minutiae of a country. He is a shitstirrer, eh? I can't find that Civil War. If somebody knows what it is, send it to me. No. Tokyo stock crash nightmare. Nickel 225 index sees the largest drop in history due to fears of a US recession. Let's just go back to a minute. Phones that are a useful stopgap until the consent for chipping is established. You see that is like, they're going to bring in facial recognition. It's dystopian as fuck, like, you know. So we're going to end up with in 2011 we had riots. The right wanted blood. I mean, that is crazy. The racial aspect of what's going on, and I don't buy this concept of it being exclusive to England. What is this idea that Scotland doesn't have social tensions or racism or the potential to have that exploited by the right? What are they? This is ridiculous, you know. Here's the Elon tweet. Thanks, Sky Blue. I do try, you know, but I could probably try a bit harder if I'm honest. But where was this? This is another thing. No, where can I find this? Wait a wee second, sorry. Oh, there it is. So here we have an example. Let's have a look at this. Interesting. Why is it not showing up? This isn't even an account. Someone sent me this. Lethanol. Jaggy Snake. Jaggy Snake's back. For some reason I can't post on my phone. I don't know either, bro. Laptops, let's have a look at this, some local news. Laptop stolen in serious break-in at GP surgery. I'm not ready something. In Duke Street. A Leith surgery, what the... Leith surgery has been... They've nicked the laptops out the doctors. Cool. David Jameson, Scotland's best journalist. It's time for an open and honest debate, just so long as you don't mention racism when discussing attacks on random non-white people in the street. Rioters with swastika tattoos and attempts to burn refugees alive, yeah. Okay, this will be a comment on the avoidance of let's talk about stuff without talking about stuff. Michael Walker, this is one of these Nevada bores, isn't it? I think it's a mistake for people on the right to suggest some violent far-right thugs mean we need to reappraise Britain's immigration policies. They are a tiny racist minority and shouldn't be driving national debate. I also think it's a mistake for people on the left to suggest that anyone who has ever said that Britain should have lower levels of immigration is somehow complicit in these. I think it's also complicit on these riots. Isolating the far right goes both ways. All these opportunists, right, all these identitarian woke-tards, right, who have went on and on about stuff that doesn't, it's just niche, middle-class, bourgeois liberal pish, right? Now they see there's class tensions. They're all going to start to try to gravitate towards like, oh yeah, they know about class politics. These are the frauds. These people are part of the problem, right? They're the people that have clouded out other people's voices, right? These folk are no less interested in the working classes than the right-wing fascist elements that are out there to have them at each other's throats now, you know? I noticed that there's a bunch of people talking about how this is like a class war. This is class war, and it's like, I don't really get that. I didn't understand that interpretation of it. How can it be a class war? Class war is... this is like internecine class war, right? This is like unsavoury and predictable aspects of people who exist in compromised socio-economic conditions attacking. I mean, some of the racial assaults and stuff that are occurring, it's just disgusting. It's beyond, it's appalling, right? But class war is a united working class. All people in the working class. You know, these are working class people, if you like, white working class, if you want to call them that. That's not what I would call them. The idea that you categorise this is an expression of the white working class, like, you know, it's like maybe to some extent they are predominantly working class and they're white, but you know, that's not a class war. This is a agitated situation, and like I say, I think it's important to recognise. You know, if they want to blame the digital platforms and X and whatnot for fueling this, you cannot separate the genocide and those Zionist agitators and that influence that this monstrous, devilish, hellish regime is exerting into our social media narratives and our collective consciousness. This is these things are connected, deeply connected. If the British establishment media and those members of the British establishment, these talking heads, are going to go on television, I mean, I haven't checked much news reports and stuff yet, you know, but I can sense, you know, and you can see the opinionators, you know, they are keen to highlight, they're keen to point the finger at Tommy Robinson, right? And they'll be like, oh, look at this Tommy Robinson guy. This Tommy Robinson guy is causing all these problems. It's like, this Tommy Robinson guy is funded by the Israeli state, right? And the Israeli state are the people that Keir Starmer phoned up to. The second person he phoned was Bibi. He phoned Netanyahu straight after he got elected. Because he's a Zionist, because he's a Zionist shill. So this is why the Israelis are laughing all the way to the bank, like, you know what I mean, with what's going on here. They'll be loving it. They will be fucking loving this. And this is what our neoliberal political class are, because at the end of the day, they're just servants to capital. They don't have any politics. This Labour Party, you know, this is important in many ways that this has happened, because this Labour Party has got no representatives in the working class. You know? Where is the established left? Where is the political left? Where is the working class political representation? This is a failure of the left. Who quoted themselves and who abandoned class politics and quoted themselves in identity politics. Where did you think the working class were going to go? You think they were just going to come around and clean your fucking toilets and fix your fucking boiler or whatever, like, you know what I mean? So, don't you think it's funny that our Zionist Prime Minister and our Zionist administration is now struggling to figure out what to do with a Zionist agitator in the name of Tommy Robinson, who, as far as they're concerned, is provoking race riots on the streets of their country? That's quite an interesting one to think about, is it not? Follow the money. That old adage. Everyone's going to, you know, this thing about like, I don't know, I'm a bit old these days. I'm not really down, I'm not down with the fashionistas. I've never owned a pair of Adidas Gazelles, but everybody seems to be going on about them. What's the story with the Gazelles? Everyone's like See, I never even knew what this person was replying to, but I seen the thing Gazelles, and I knew it was about Liz Truss. It's like, why? What's the story? Is Liz Truss not allowed to wear Gazelles like? I mean, she's a teapot, you know what I mean? But I mean, she's. What's the story? Are they expensive or something? Somebody let me know what the story. $2.6. That music's annoying me. Yeah, so why are you annoyed at Liz Truss wearing Gazelles? This person says classic divide. What is with this? We're all getting a bit crazy with the music. Let's go for something a bit more. So, what have we got here? Classic divide and conquer. To be fair, I see this recognised on X. How much is class a symptom of the union? What do you mean? What do you mean by that, Jaggy Snake? How much is class a symptom of the union? I'm not sure what you mean. Israelis, Russians, Christo-fascist Americans, the Chinese, all of them are laughing. They've got to be, man. Especially the Israelis must be pissing themselves laughing right now, you know? They're like, you know, there's like when you know, when we went to Iraq and we had like the 1 Million Man March and we had the fabricated weapons of mass destruction and everything, you know, and we had that first night bombs over Baghdad, and you know, it was so horrendous, you know, you knew that it was just like, it was so wrong, you know, everybody knew it was wrong. You're like, this is not right, this is wrong. And we've had the sort of the rehabilitation of people like Alistair Campbell in the public eye and stuff. These people should be in The Hague, like, you know, they should be in prison. And but nothing. I mean, whatever they did in Iraq, you know, I'm sure the horrors and terrors that I mean, I knew a soldier guy who's passed away now, unfortunately, but he told me he was a what do you call it, territorial army guy that had like a sort of reservist guy or whatever. He was a Jamaican guy, but he had gone to Iraq, and he told me an interest. This was back in the day, but his main job had been to patrol this highway that went down to what was the port at the bottom, where there was the port down on the bottom, and it was where there was two. He said there was two sections at the bottom of that port, which was one for the US and one for Britain, where they would just take oil. And he said that this road, this main highway, was just trucks of oil, pretty much 24/7, just taking oil out of the country to stockpile. But yeah, he told me some crazy stuff about what had gone on there. Horrible stuff. But you know, we didn't really have smartphones in that time. We didn't have social media, so we weren't seeing imagery in the way that we are now. So, you know, we've had 9 to 10 months of genocidal annihilation of our ethnic cleansing of our population, where, you know, they'll say, oh, we killed this person in Hamas, but, you know, we killed 100 people as well while we killed that person. But that's okay, because we got that person that we're looking for. And multiply that by however many times, like, you know what I mean? And this is how the Israelis conduct themselves. Say, it's okay, yeah, some people died there, but we got the person that we really wanted to kill. You know, and so there's pressure on Israel. You know, you've got the international court situation, and there's increasing pressure, you know, but it's too little, too late, you know. It's not like they're going to, it's not like they're going to, like, you know, about turn now. But I think the element of Israeli-backed agitation within this entire situation, if you're not considering how much that has a part to play, you're just deliberately avoiding the reality of what's going on. But that wouldn't surprise me, because most of the people on the left and what have you, that's what they'll do. And the establishment is the same. I mean, how does that, what's the story with that, you know? Zionists, man. This is what happens. Who can ram dance hall like me? We'd like to meet Truss in the Port of Leith after a few aqua shots. Would make for an interesting community debate. I think Truss is genuinely dip it, eh? She's just a screwball. She was just a kind of... She was a typical puppet that they thought they could... And then they realised, no, this person's actually mental. No need for concern with the WEF, WHO, UN, CDC, so many acronyms. I've forgotten who I am. Safe and effective, absolutely, sir. These fronts, I was looking for another front there, actually. That's what I was looking for. Wait a second, see if I can find it. Where? Why is that? Why am I not able to find that? Bear with me a second, people. I'll tell you what I'll do. Is there any am I still broadcasting on? Let me just take you to the island for a minute.
天上太阳红呀红彤彤哎，心中的太阳是毛泽东哎，他领导。
I want them, I want them. I want them, I want them. I'm in no oh, I'm in no oh. Me no oh, I'm in no oh. Me say me love a feel me virgin.
How can we dance when our earth is turning? How do we sleep while our beds are burning?
That's not joint sweat. That's not what I'm about. That's not joint sweat. That's not what I'm about. That's not joint sweat. That's not what I'm about. That's not joint sweat. That's not what I'm about. That's not joint sweat. That's not what I'm about.
In the stillness of the night shadows we their tail. We look at them like a crew that must be named as we drag on onwards from where it was me.
What about that, eh? See, if it wasn't for you good people out there, here's me chatting away, and nobody can even hear me. But then, Let Me Look TV. Good to see Let Me Look TV there, man. These old heads that are still here kicking around, they still keeping it real, for want of a better term. See that? If I never had... I'm getting text messages now from people. Your microphone is muted. Your mic is muted. Look, it's just me on my Jack Jones here, like, you know what I mean? It's I'm allowed to make the odd technical error. But thanks for that, in the messages. Can't hear you, Bob. You're muted, mate. I'm no muted now, am I? You can hear me now. I think this is going to be an interesting period that's going to unfold, because again, it's like different, the same sort of. Isn't it interesting, right? Isn't it interesting that the establishment, the neoliberal establishment, if you like, our Zionist Prime Minister and our Zionist administration. And I said this before, right? I said this a long time ago. I said when our neoliberal, in fact, somebody just retweeted it, did they not? Yes, right. So Blair McDougall. Oh man, this is what's getting crazy. This is what's making. This is what's making it all crazy, right? Grasping desperately onto the stick of sanity. Let's be honest, it's all a bit fucking mental right now. I tell you what, Let Me Look made a brilliant documentary with John Pilger before he passed away on the privatisation of the NHS. So give them a follow. Let Me Look are talented. I don't know exactly where. I think they're in London actually. Could be wrong, or thereabouts. But good documentary makers. Right, so what was, before I got distracted there? Isn't it interesting, right? Don't you think it's interesting that the establishment are concerned with unfettered, uncensored online activity, right? That they're going to blame. So they're going to say that this has been fueled by online activity. And then we have, so the political class that have now been elected under the Labour badge, which that means nothing. The red ones are now in. We got rid of the blue ones, now we've got the red ones. Well, the red ones are going to be even more authoritarian than the blue ones. Because the political class are primarily interested in the preservation of the political class and their power. And, you know, this attempting to delineate between them on account of the rosettes is really something that it's a dim it's a somewhat dim position to still adhere to. Anyway, actually, I take that back. Am I right in saying, correct me if I'm wrong, Let Me Look TV, that for all John Pilger's great journalism, was there not something about actually he ripped off your concept? Remind me, it was a long time ago. I remember you made a brilliant, Let Me Look they made a brilliant documentary about the privatisation of the NHS. But it might have been that they shared a cut with John Pilger, and then John Pilger went away and made his own documentary. Is that what happened? That might have been what happened. See, that's the whole Mandela effect, where you forget, you start inventing things that never happened. Anyway, Blair McDougall, right, who was just a horrendous person who fought on the side that was the architect of Better Together, right? He's now an MP, and I think Blair McDougall's ascension to Member of Parliament when he was the architect that set in motion the huge number of SNP MPs that ended up down in Westminster. This tells a story about who votes and what type of individual gets voted in our contemporary culture and society, in British democracy anyway. Because that tells the whole story, really, you know. How can, if nationalism is the core concern of Scottish people, which it isn't, right? But the bourgeois exceptionalists will have you believe that, right? How can Blair McDougall be elected as an MP? This isn't just such is the failure of the SNP that the guy that was responsible for the Better Together campaign is now an MP. That is it. That alone, right? That should be jotters for. That should be it. Nobody should vote for any SNP politician ever again. That there is your answer. If this is what they've allowed to have happen. But it's obvious who made. It's obvious how much the British establishment and the British state, how much influence they have over the SNP as well. That's extremely obvious, you know. I'll I'll come back to these comments in a second when I look here. But this is what I was saying, right? I'll get to the point eventually. Come on, it's a Monday. It's Monday morning, come on. So Blair McDougall. This is, and you know who he's talking about here, right? Blair McDougall is talking about Lawrence Fox, right? So he says, I won't share his posts because it is attention he craves like I and you didn't. Like you didn't crave attention, Blair. They're all the same. It's quite mental as well that in a time where we've got a genocide, which is no different from the comparable Nazi Holocaust, you know, people might argue about the numbers, but it's like, you know, the obliteration and eradication of innocent human beings for some perverse ideology is, you know, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to make these equations, you know. You know, what is Gaza if it's not some form of the Warsaw Ghetto, except instead of carting them off to extermination camps, they're just blowing them up in the ghetto, you know? I won't share his posts because it's attention he craves. Like, yeah, like you, Blair McDougall, are going to add particularly to the attention that Fox already has managed to accrue on social media. But this is the irony of the whole thing. This is what makes it so brilliant for someone like me looking at it. This is why I find it so so rewarding. Like, you know, it's because it's all happening on X. What the X? This is where it is. They want to moan about it, but they have to come here to talk about it. Why don't you fuck off to Mastodon, like you all said you were going to do? I won't share his posts because it is attention he craves. But Fox's recent posts are deeply dangerous. I have written to the Metropolitan Police asking for them to investigate whether they pass the threshold of incitement to violence. Oh, what a fantastically important moral stance you have taken there, Mr. Blair McDougall. But what that is an expression of is what we're going to see more of. And we're going to see more and more calls from our newly elected Labour parliamentarians for tighter controls on social media and a crackdown. So while they're going to increase digital surveillance and have us all having a retina scan before we leave the house or whatever, and restricting our movements with their 3.5-minute cities and all the rest of it, they are going to demand that we have more authoritarianism, essentially, you know? So I said the incumbent neoliberal political class are going to show us exactly how hard they like daddy to govern. And that's the truth, because they're in power now. And they'll know what to get up. They've been waiting to get their chance to get in there. And even with a genocide going on, I mean, that I said it the other day, but this section of the bourgeois electorate who make their placards all week to call for a ceasefire, and then went out and voted for a Zionist Prime Minister. Madness. Anyway, pillaged by Pilger, right? So that's true. Okay, so it's partly why I released it early on YouTube during the Corbyn election. I wanted mine to get on before John's because I was going to get memory hold, right? Yeah. So what happened was, did you not interview Pilger or something? Was he not in it at all? Anyway, Pilger robbed your idea, didn't he? And made his own documentary, which is, it's a hot. Plagiarism is a horrible thing. Plagiarism. When you get plagiarised, I've had it happen to me a lot, and it's when you get plagiarised. I wouldn't mind if people plagiarise things that were already in the public domain, whether that's commercially or otherwise. But see, when people see your work that's not released and then they steal from it, it's like that's a pedophilic act. That's a violation. That's the sort of thing that a paedophile would do. Like, you know what I mean? It's like a sort of very intrusive, deeply violating thing to do to somebody when they see your work and it's not published or something, and then they take it and steal from it. Like, you know what I mean? Fucking grim. But you know, it says a lot about people, the sort of people that do things like that. It tells you everything about them. The SNP is the British establishment. Absolutely, that's absolutely correct. Have you done any work for Commonweal, pro-indie think tank? The one run by McAlpine? No, I haven't done any work for Commonweal, but I know Robin McAlpine. I did it kind of well, I met him, and I think Robin McAlpine is a decent man. I don't have any reason to dislike Robin McAlpine. I think he means well. I didn't agree with his position on a lot of things, and I think he got caught up and he gets dead enthusiastic. He gets dead, but he's like. I don't have a problem with Commonweal. I think they mean well. I don't know. You correct me otherwise if you were going to tell me something different about them. But I've been saying the SNP should recall their MPs for years now. If you want to be independent, then don't. I've said that forever as well. Yeah, they shouldn't be there. They should. You know, this idea that they were opposed to Westminster but couldn't wait to get to Westminster. I mean, they're frauds. They are the biggest frauds in Scottish culture. It ties in a little bit, to be honest, to what I was kind of wanting to talk about, which is this kind of convenient pivot for a lot of these people. Jerry Hassan, Mike Small, the Neil Mackays, you know, there's loads of them. All these, anybody involved in, anybody who's been actively involved in the bourgeois nationalist project, that's been a profiteer of it. You know, well, they've all been profiteers of it, who are now seeking to coalesce around this kind of anti-fascist, anti-Tommy Robinson thing. You know, this is a distraction. These people are trying to distance themselves from the politics that they've profited from and been part of a project that basically, in many respects, was an anti-class project. I never bought it, man. I never bought into it. Got caught up in aspects of it, but I was always deeply suspicious of certain aspects of it, and I've been proven so correct on that. I'm very, very satisfied with the position that I took on all of this from the referendum onwards. I was really one of the first people to really make this point about the fact that they're stringing everybody along about that they were stringing everybody along about the next independence referendum. People think it's certain other people that have been the first to that post. Me. I was first to that post. It's like when all the incels and fascists fucked off Gab but realised they couldn't get engagement. What's Gab? I don't know what that is. He would be in ours. He would be in ours, but interviewed Bob Gill as one of the main voices, as was mine. Then Bob Gill locked me out of all the social media and recut the film, and is now presenting it as his film on his Twitter profile still. 3 years of my work stolen. It did me right in. Never quite recovered, to be honest. Pure solidarity to you there, Let Me Look, brother. I can identify with that type of thing 100%. And for those of us who are driven to make independent art and independent material, you're always vulnerable sometimes to these type of opportunists, and I've got countless stories of my own where I could relate to exactly what you're talking about. And all you can do is learn, all you can do is dust yourself down and learn from those experiences, and be careful about who you actually allow round about you, and who you allow to associate with you, and who you share your work with. When you're an artist, it's a difficult thing, you know, because you want to communicate your ideas with people, you want to discuss stuff, you want to show people stuff, but you don't realise sometimes that those people that you're sharing your ideas with are not your friends. Like, that's something you've got to be careful with. So I hope you will recover, mate. You're a talented filmmaker. I've seen your work, and you'll get another wave of inspiration, and you'll get yourself away from that, like, you know. Hassan would kill his granny for a slot on TV. Absolutely, these people are just muppets, like, you know. That guy Chris Law is one of the worst. Totally. I met him when he was driving that bus pre-Indie Ref. Next thing, he gets on the MP list, gets elected, and now he owns a castle. Absolutely. You couldn't write it like Chris Law is actually the worst. Another complete sort of Tommy Shepherd of Dundee, like, you know what I mean? A shite talking, piss taking political class opportunist. Not even a really effective member of the political class, just an out and out opportunist, you know? I'm getting more information. See if somebody wants to tell me something, tell me on the chat rather than messages, because I didn't see my messages. I don't see all my messages, like, you know. Chris Law, I never knew what that Gab was, to be honest. Gab, I take him as. There are lots of. Do you know what it is, right? I hate to say it, but I think I'm going to have to upgrade my glasses. I think I'm more blind than I was when I got these Gregories. I hate having to wear Gregories these days, like, you know, because it's just a sign of becoming a old bastard. But I'm really struggling. I'm struggling to even see with these ones now, you know. I'm going to end up with like milk bottle specs, like, you know. Chris Law is a total shit. They're all the worst. You know the whole Scottish independence thing. If the Scottish electorate are genuinely so different as the bourgeois nationalists and would have us believe, then let's have a nationalist, class-based nationalist project, right? Let's get these neoliberals and these political class imposters hunted, right? And so let's populate Holyrood in 2026 with socialists, independents, everybody pro-independence, you know, if this is their thing. Let's do away with them then. Let's for these bourgeois exceptionalists that want to tell us how wonderful Scotland is and how we're nothing like England, because this is their rhetoric, like, you know. Oh, look at these terrible ne'er-do-wells rioting in the streets of England. This is England's problem. This is not Scotland's problem. It's like, is that right? You're going to see what will happen here if you're not careful. If you're not careful, because none of these people are give a toss about working class people. And if you try to tell me that there's no tensions within working class communities along racial lines or otherwise because of what's going on, you're mistaken. You're mistaken. Scottish exceptionalism, man, it's quite the thing. Right. So that's what we're saying. We're saying that the incoming political class, well, the ones that are here now are going to have an even harder hard-on for authority than the ones that were even there before, you know? There are riots. What is this? This is a. What are you looking at here? Is this a? There are riots planned all over the country on Wednesday evening, and I have been sent screenshots from a Telegram chat with a list of target locations which include immigration centres. Also, there is disgusting racism on the chat. I've been told the police are aware. Yeah, well, the point is though, isn't it, that it exists on Telegram, like, you know? Maybe if you hadn't decided that everybody had to go off Twitter, get cancelled from Twitter, who knows? We might not be in this situation that we're in right now. Don't know. I mean, hold on a minute. James Lumsden. This post was deleted by the author. So it's okay to be racist or attack someone's views. I don't know what was said there. I just noticed that I think James Lumsden. I just remembered the name. Because he's a Hibs supporter, which is a good quality, you know. How bad can somebody be if they're a Hibs supporter? But Stan Collymore was responding to him. Sorry, I'm in my... See that there. It's not okay to be racist, and it's absolutely right to question any ethnic minority Britain's views if they support extreme far-right politics that directly and negatively impacts the lives of 6 million black, brown and mixed Britons. It's really not difficult to understand, but people that question rapes and stabbings, etc. are deemed far-right, racists. Surely that's an issue. When you blame an entire race, creed or religion for said horrific crimes, then yes, far-right racists. They are not doing that though. So why are they setting fire to hotels that have absolutely naught to do with the stabbing? The hotel that was set on fire houses a migrant that was in court for stabbing and rape. I agree though. it's wrong to do so. Right, well, you know, wait, he was in court. Come on, like... It's like, you know... The Telegraph was never like this, was it? Like, you know? You never got to scroll the Telegraph in the morning like this, you know? This posh twat, Lawrence Fox, who couldn't fight sleep. Like, the thing about Lawrence Fox is... There's, you know, there aren't really... What's the point in talking about Lawrence Fox? You know, he's just a posh twat, isn't he? He's just a posh idiot. Determined to just get attention and cause trouble, you know. The lying, dying legacy media are at it again. Ex-Labour MP interviews his own wife on national television. Government and media collusion is a serious problem in this country. Well, maybe like a stopped clock is entitled to say the odd thing that is correct. David Miller's good. David Miller's good. What's he saying? The Freeports are well dodgy, you're right. And upper class melt, yeah, he's a complete phantom, like, you know what I mean? Probably Lawrence Fox is the kind of guy that would use hand sanitizer after he was like next to a working class person. Do you know what I mean? These people are completely and utterly fake bastards. The city is more or less a money-free port here. No material goods is an obvious progression. Oh. Anyway, in an interview with Channel 13 in Israel, Tommy Robinson stated, "Nobody believes the media. If Israel loses, they will come for Europe." Yet again, the role of Israel highlighted by the Zionist asset himself. We should also point out he is drawing here on an Islamophobic conspiracy theory, Eurabia, which was, in point of fact, popularised by Bat Kior, who was literally involved earlier in life in a Mossad operation to kidnap Jewish kids from Morocco to become colonists in Palestine. Actually, I did know about that thing that happened. Right, so let's be honest about it. It's the same point, right? Let's just make the same point again, right? If you want to, if the British media, it's fucking just hilarious, right? It's just hilarious. If the British media, British establishment want to blame Tommy Robinson, what have they got to say about the fact that the same Zionists who they're complicit with are responsible for funding and fueling Tommy Robinson's behaviour? How do you like them apples? Eh? What are you meant to do about that? He's made an arse of it. Keir Starmer's made an arse of it. The Labour Party have made an arse of it. The neoliberal political class have made an arse of it. Neoliberalism has made an arse of it. That's what this is. This, my friends, is the fruits of neoliberalism. And a neoliberal left who decided that it was far more important to spend the last decade telling us that women can have cocks than what we should do about the fact that the working classes are increasingly ostracised from society and punitively punished economically and socially by neoliberalism. And on that note, I shall wind it up for today. But I will return tomorrow. I'll maybe even try and have Mary a laugh tomorrow. I wasn't really feeling particularly full of mirth today, but I've enjoyed having a wee natter, and I'm heartened to see so many people join me in. Why doesn't somebody give me a suggestion for us? I tell you what, I'm gonna tell you what I know what I'm gonna play to leave us this morning. Let me see if I can find it. I dedicate this one to my friend Samantha, who's, if she's still in the chat. Go live every day. Well, maybe I will go live every day, Matty Ross. Maybe I will, eh? What am I looking for? Have we got it here? We do. Right. So, like I say, I've enjoyed chatting to you all this morning. Trying my best to cover the madness that's around, and I'm going to leave you all with the wonderful sounds of Bob Andy. So I hope everybody else has a fantastic day. Have a lovely Monday. See you later, folks.
Was right, then we would never have to fight. So if we never use the brain, then only carcass would remain. If man had never used his hands, then he would never understand the joys of making this and that and winning money from the slot. Forget about stupidity. Discover your ability. Develop your creativity. Cultivate humility to brave the stormy weather. Oh, my brother, and heed my foolish words. You see, the more you give to life is the more you get from life. So go on and give. Don't count the cost. And the less you give to life is the less you're gonna get from life. So go on and save your dough. Your soul might be lost. If every man should be the boss, there'd be no one to groom the horse. Mechanics none to fix the car. No humble man to spread the tar. Imagine everyone on top. Now tell me what the hell could stop top heavy from a fatal drop. Extinct would be the mortal crop. It's time we learn to be satisfied. Curtail resources running dry. Too much have you, get rid of some. There are too many who have none. Oh, my brother, help them to face the stormy weather. And heed my foolish words once again. You see, the more you give to life is the more you're gonna get from life. So go on and give. Don't count the cost. And the less you give to life is the less you're gonna get from life. So save your dough. Your soul might be lost.